does one film one's life partner dying? During Nancy's cancer, I had no time to reflect on what was happening. I hoped that the footage would be a way to comprehend, find meaning, but mostly to help me remember. It was a project that Nancy and I were united in, although on occasion I wondered if it was the correct thing to be doing. It has taken me 16 years to find the courage and the impetus to make this film.
My reaction when I was diagnosed was one of shock. I felt like I had gone into a dream world. Fear, of course, and the fact that you really could be facing your mortality. When you hear cancer, you have a choice. You have to make your choices. You either lie down and not do anything, or you either stand up and you take all of your courage and your strength and you go, hit the road, Jack. I'm beating you,
During Nancy's cancer, many TV stations filmed her because of the groundbreaking trauma work she had begun in South Africa. This footage has helped enormously in the making of this film.
6 months ago, Nancy Diuguid was diagnosed with breast cancer. Nancy decided to adopt a holistic, integrated approach to fighting her illness, combining both conventional medicine and natural methods. A second operation revealed that the cancer had not spread, and 6 months down the line, she's officially in remission.
Nancy, are you confident that you took the right route?
Yes, I think by taking an integrated medical approach, I did take the right route. You have to take control of your life. And I did lots of reading and thinking and studying and working with various people.
But there's one thing for sure, you need support, am I right?
That's absolutely right. Without support, you can't handle the whole thing by yourself.
Okay, how did Melanie help you?
Well, I think the first thing you've got to do is overcome the fear, because once you hear about cancer, you're in a terrible state of shock. And I think, I don't know where I got it from, but I just decided to make a yes list. And everybody I knew who'd survived with cancer went up on this big board, and the list is still growing. Because I think so often you just equate cancer with death. And once you're in that space, it's very, very hard to be positive.
Nancy and I lived together for many years in London. Nancy was a theatre and opera director, and I a political documentary filmmaker. When we first met at the National Film School in England in the 1980s, I knew immediately we were going to be together. I was captivated by Nancy's exuberance and enthusiasm, her open-heartedness and her extravagance. I was more reserved and reticent.
Happy birthday, Mom and Dad. Camera woman today is Melanie Chait, director Nancy Diuguid.
Hi, and happy birthday to both of you.
Here we are, turning into a cottage.
We both worked long and hard, and early in our relationship we found a cottage in the Cotswolds where we would escape to for weekends.
Hello, cottage. I'm just going to take you around the garden.
Nancy's breadth of interests and depth of knowledge was compelling. From cosmology to quantum physics, the visual arts to the classics, to scuba diving, and above all, nature.
Wildflowers aren't out at the moment.
Nancy was a passionate organic gardener. Her aversion to pesticides stemmed from her having grown up on a tobacco plantation where DDT had been sprayed extensively.
You can see we have yellow marsh flowers here.
Where's the pond? Oh, there it is.
There's the... Did you get the yellow marsh flowers?
Yeah?
And we have frogs. And I imagine I'm making too much noise for them right now. I'm trying to find little animals. I don't see too many today. Yeah, I see lots of life going on.
We both greatly admired the scientist Rachel Carson, whose seminal book, Silent Spring, published in 1962, raised the alarm about the long-term damage of pesticides, particularly DDT, and its effect on wildlife and human health, especially in relation to the increased risk of cancers.
The history of life on Earth has been a history of interaction between living things and their surroundings. Only within a moment of time represented by the present century has one species, man, acquired significant power to alter the nature of his world. Future historians may well be amazed by our distorted sense of proportion. How could intelligent beings seek to control a few unwanted species by a method that contaminated the entire environment and brought the threat of disease and death even to their own kind?
Because of my political filmmaking in South Africa, I was persona non grata for many years. When apartheid was overthrown, I returned, wanting to contribute to the new South Africa. Nancy continued to work internationally, commuting back and forth. She was in South Africa when diagnosed with breast cancer.
Hi, Dr. Carson. How are you? Good to see you. It was a stage 1 cancer. It was very small. They found it early. The prognosis was good. I also went to a cancer counselor. Together, we created a nutritional plan and a supplementary plan. And Melanie and I turned to the ocean because I find that nature is one of the most important places to be in if you can. It brings about a kind of expanse of awareness. I now practice meditation, and I'm doing remedial yoga as well. So I've taken a holistic approach to healing this cancer and never having to have it come back again, hopefully.
Before Nancy's diagnosis, Desmond, a 7-year-old, had crept into our hearts and was to change our lives forever.
One day, a little chap, very tiny, street waif looking, knocked on the door and looked up at me and said, "Can I play with your dog?" And I looked down at him and I said, "Of course you can." And so we got to know Desmond. Almost every Saturday afternoon he would come to play with Fudge, and he and I would go out and cut bulrushes and just look at nature, the butterflies and the birds. And then one day he announced to us that his mother was going to send him back to his grandmother in a township outside Kimberley. And Melanie and I looked at each other and went, "This child is just too bright."
Just a bit like funny.
So we spoke to his mom and we said, "Do you think that we can help with Desmond's education?" And so Desmond's been living with us and he's getting an education.
So what's it say to you?
Me? She's got a headache or something.
But he is so talented. He has a tremendous artistic and creative ability and an athletic ability. It was just utterly delightful.
Desmond brought us great joy, but despite Nancy's remission, the anxiety of cancer returning never quite leaves. So the three of us spent as much time as we could at our holiday cottage in Pringle Bay to assist her recovery.
Go again.
About 18 months later, Christmas 2000, I started getting terrible pain. And I went back to my oncologist. Of course, it had spread into my bone.
Man alone of all forms of life can create cancer-producing substances, which in medical terminology are called carcinogens. With the dawn of the industrial era, the world became a place of continuous, ever-accelerating change. Instead of the natural environment, there was rapidly substituted an artificial one, composed of new chemical and physical agents, many of them possessing powerful capacities for inducing biologic change. By the end of the 19th century, a half-dozen sources of industrial carcinogens were known. The 20th century was to create countless new cancer-causing chemicals and to bring the general population into intimate contact with them. It is hardly surprising, therefore, that we are now aware of the alarming increase in malignant disease.
Biologist Rachel Carson worked 4 years in the preparation of Silent Spring, first printed on September 27, 1962. Up to now, 500,000 copies have been sold, and Silent Spring has been called the most controversial book of the year. Miss Rachel Carson.
We've heard the benefits of pesticides. We have heard a great deal about their safety, but very little about the hazards, very little about the failures, the inefficiencies. And yet the public was being asked to accept these chemicals, was being asked to acquiesce in their use, and did not have the whole picture. So I set about to remedy the balance there. We have to remember that children born today are exposed to these chemicals from birth, perhaps even before birth. Now, what is going to happen to them in adult life as a result of that exposure? We simply don't know.
Nancy was born on October the 19th, 1948. And she was brought up in a little town in Kentucky, in Gwent. She was part of a wealthy tobacco farming family. And a family, by most British standards, very formal with very traditional values. And her mother was very much a Southern belle. Nancy would often recall how in her early years in the South, she'd once seen the burning cross of the Ku Klux Klan. And the horror of this stayed with her all her life and gave her the impetus to challenge discrimination wherever she saw it. But this background and her parental expectations, of course, made it very difficult and deeply painful for Nancy when in later years she came out to her parents.
I'm gonna start taking my top off.
That's fine.
Stand by your woman. Could be very demure. Da, 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 da.
Yeah, shake the camera.
Desmond, hush up. Daddy, Daddy.
Look what I'm reading, Anna. What are you reading? Faust.
Faust, are you mad?
I am mad.
Our friend Anna, a physician, was always close at hand, often administering treatments at our home in Johannesburg to save Nancy spending long hours in the hospital.
Are we doing it in this end?
We have been, because these were such
Fragile.
little veins.
Okay. All right.
Wow. I watched her do that now.
And was it okay? Heard more.
No. Chemotherapy was tough. It was called FAC, and it makes you extremely nauseous. And of course, you're warned your hair is going to come out, and I'd always quite fascinated to see what I'd look like bald, so I just didn't know I was going to have to do it this way. What happens is you have days where you go, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to beat this, it's not going to beat me, and I had days where I was in very, very dark despair. But often I was too sick to do anything. Often I just lay there in the bed, but I have wonderful friends. They gave me foot massages and head massages and hand massages. Friends from Britain came out every month to help us. The week that I was well, or the 2 weeks sometimes, or when I wasn't working, we'd plan a nice trip. I found nature to be really important. My little family is very important, and doing something beautiful each day and remembering that life is for living. However long it is, it's the quality of your life.
Okay, now I'm tired.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Rachel Carson and those who agree with her charge that risks involved in the use of chemical pesticides far exceed the benefits they provide, including wormless apples.
Since the mid-1940s, over 200 basic chemicals have been created for use in killing insects, weeds, rodents, and other organisms, described in the modern vernacular as pests. These sprays, dusts, and aerosols are now applied almost universally to farms, gardens, forests, and homes. Can anyone believe it is possible to lay down such a barrage of poisons on the surface of the earth without making it unfit for all life?
Now, we know from experiments on animals that many of these chemicals accumulate in body tissues. We know that some are liver poisons, others are nerve poisons, and for still others we have evidence that they produce mutations, and in various other ways are exceedingly dangerous materials. Unless we do bring these chemicals under better control, we are certainly headed for disaster.
The world is facing a global public health risk. That's the warning from scientists who say cancer will claim the lives of 9.6 million people this year, up from 8.2 million in 2012.
Nancy and I found it remarkable how innovative and progressive Rachel Carson's thinking had been. She challenged the claim that pesticides were harmless, as constantly promoted by big pharma companies seeking new markets after the Second World War. Rachel was dismissed by these companies for being a woman scientist, yet she was so ahead of her time in comprehending the interconnectedness of all life. In the last 50 years, few other books have had the same impact as Silent Spring, and today, Rachel Carson is considered the founder of the modern environmental movement.
Nancy's feminist politics were way ahead of the rest of us. Imagine in 1973 that Nancy was very out and upfront about being a lesbian in an extremely chauvinistic setup. We arrived at Gay's Sweatshop as first and foremost actresses. The politics were learnt on the road and with a great deal of help from Nancy. It was an extraordinary time. 30 years later, it's very hard for people to remember how difficult it was to come out and, let alone, stand on a stage and tell the world. Autumn 1976, we toured the very first all-lesbian production of Any Woman Can. The all-lesbian company was very special because we were all able to say that, yes, we were dykes and proud. The scariest time was when we went to Dublin. There's nightly bomb threats and hellfire and damnation being preached by the Dublin press. In 1977, Nancy had a notion to run a women's festival. In autumn, the Drill Hall housed the very first contemporary women's festival in the UK and trailblazed the future of lesbian theatre. Nancy's energy, drive, vision, and southern cussedness made this happen. Every artist in the country who over the past 20 years has been able to openly call themselves lesbian, queer, or gay must remember to say her name with love and gratitude.
1973, I was at drama school and I was sitting at the top of the steps and out of nowhere this motorbike pulled up with two women on it. And she got off the back of the bike and she was in dungarees. The sun was behind her. She was barefooted. She got one strap of the dungarees open and this long blonde hair, and she was holding a leather music bag. You know, those ones which have the silver bars that go through. And she sort of drifted up the stairs because she was a dancer, trained as a dancer and moved like a dancer. And she was extraordinary. And my little heart just went. It was love at first sight.
I think one of the things she was very good at was imagining worlds beyond the conventional, using whatever facility, whatever technique she could bring to bear in pushing those imaginations into more colourful, into wilder ideas, and so that you would feel expanded as a person. I think she was about expansion.
The work that she did was very pioneering. I mean, she was one of the first women directors. We're seeing women directors now who really are standing on Nancy's shoulders and probably don't even realise it.
From the mid-1970s through to the 80s, Nancy directed over 30 theatre productions. The ones that are still very, very clear in my memory are her productions of Noel Gregg's All Male, Dear Love of Comrades, and then, of course, her wonderful expressionistic production of Angels Descend on Paris, which was about the Nazi persecution of gays, as well as the Jews. Both productions won awards, hardly surprising.
Nancy was a staff producer at London Coliseum, home of English National Opera. What Nancy found in opera was all the big players, all the big mediums of human expression, movement, text, and most importantly, music. And Nancy had a deep feeling for music, probably starting back when she was a child in America with Baptist Church, and to still find a way of bringing that into European high art music. It's great fun if you can do that, and I think that was a good time to try and put those two things together.
Nancy was enjoying a successful international career when she started coming to South Africa after the end of apartheid. Once here, the focus of her work began to change dramatically.
When I came here, I said to Mel, I can't just come here and flit in and out. There's so much going on. I want to contribute something.
Voices is the project that was initiated by Nancy Diuguid. Nancy felt that somehow she needed to contribute to the children of Alexandra. Some of the kids within the group were kids who have been sexually abused, emotionally abused.
Well, Voices, or Amazwi, or Mansui, or Mansui, whichever language you want to do it in, is a project that uses the expressive art therapies, or the creative art therapies, to work with children at risk.
Working with these children and looking at the first few days at them hardly being able to utter a word, to find those children slowly relaxing with us, slowly smiling genuinely. We talked about ourselves, our names, our sense of identity, and out came a sense of pride in the self that wasn't there in the beginning when we first met.
It was really the result of the work at Alex with the children that I realized the real training in the creative arts therapies should be with the trauma workers themselves. So I spent about 1.5 years starting to make a team. We talked about what Carson feels very much that an African traditional healer is called. You're not going to go out and use these techniques of Caroline spitting water in my face, for instance.
When Nancy ran a trauma workshop, she would be there every day. Even when at her sickest, her energy was phenomenal.
Everybody get close to one another so you can touch the person in front of you. All right, lovely. And just start to massage each other's shoulders. Shoulders. Oh, yeah. Let's get those hips. Woo! And that side from there.
Bone pain is very, very painful. And there's times when it's just too painful. If I need to be knocked out a bit, I will. So I've had a lot of bad side effects. I've had a lot of days in bed.
As yet, insufficient time has elapsed to reveal the full effect of the new chlorinated hydrocarbon insecticides and of the modern herbicides. Most malignancies develop so slowly that they may require a considerable segment of the victim's life to reach the stage of showing clinical symptoms. The full maturing of whatever seeds of malignancy have been sown by these chemicals is yet to come.
After another round of chemotherapy, Nancy felt so much stronger. Her lifetime dream had been to go to Tibet, and so we went.
And I'm the only one who didn't get altitude sickness. And I think because the chemo had thinned my blood so much that I'm the only one that went through Tibet without getting ill.
The trip imbued her with new life and vitality, but within a month of returning, her pain had intensified.
How are you feeling this morning?
Pretty good. Which tape are you on for this wheel of life?
The
Second one?
side, yeah, second one.
That's
Side
the one
3.
I hadn't listened to yet.
It's all about after-death experience.
No.
I'll listen to it after you. I went back onto another form of chemotherapy, Taxol. I had to have a port put in, and I ended up in hospital with neutropenic shock. Melanie stayed often at the hospital with me. She was fantastic. One night, though, she wasn't there. I was in such pain, I'd have to rinse my mouth just every sort of half an hour. And I just put my head at the side of the sink and I just cried and cried and cried. And I actually said, if this is where I am and this is where I'm going to stay, please let me go now.
I could cope with Nancy not getting better, as long as she did not get worse. The fear of losing the battle against cancer strikes terror in your heart, and we all fight it in our own ways. I managed mine by staying up late into the night and researching whatever new cancer treatments were available. Desmond dealt with his fears by always remaining close to Nancy.
Poor Nancy trying to work at her in her little studio. Desmond pulls up his chair to work next to her.
Are by the power of the sun. Cool.
Hello, you.
What you guys doing?
Working.
What are you working at?
I'm doing my work here.
Which work is it?
Time.
You're doing your story, darling, how to tell time,
Yeah.
and then answering questions.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And you, Nance?
I'm writing my letter, my long overdue letter to my friends who've all been so wonderful to me this year.
June, we were planning our trip to the United Kingdom and the USA to see family and friends, and I said, if I'm on a stretcher, I'm going. And I just had this, well, Mel says, she calls me Lazarus. I just had this turnaround, and I'm so grateful.
All of Nancy's friends received the same letter, basically saying she was coming to London and she was going to have a really big celebratory party, and she wanted as many of her friends as possible to come to this party, which obviously all of us were thrilled to do. Everybody knew she had cancer. There were many women there who were survivors of cancer. One or two had been survivors for a very long time. And there was a lot of very positive, jokey conversation about, we'll crack it, we'll be able to survive, all of those things. And Nancy was absolutely upbeat about it.
Nancy had an extraordinary ability for friendship. She brought out the best in everyone and had this warmth and unconditional love for people, which was truly very special because she made you feel very special. She had friends from so many different continents and in so many different contexts of life that you realized that hundreds of people loved her.
You have been such remarkable friends, and Melanie and I have many times cried at the beauty of your friendship and the love and the support that you've given us. And Nicole said a very beautiful thing the other day after the party. She said, everybody was there just holding on, and none of you have ever let us go. And we will forever be grateful, and we love you deeply for your goodness. Thank you. Cheers. 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 I'm not getting up, you come to me.
After the party in London, we went to visit Nancy's parents, who still lived on their tobacco plantation, where DDT had been sprayed since 1945, when first introduced. Her mother was turning 94, and her father 100.
Never thought I'd be that old.
You're still looking pretty good. There's Nancy, 22. Still looking pretty good.
You said the first 100 years were the hardest, didn't you, Dad?
Yes, you said that one time.
100. You have, honey.
You just ate every which way out here.
You have indeed. You made 100.
Being there was difficult. Nancy's parents had never accepted her sexuality and had not once offered to help us with her medical expenses.
This is where we would often swim off the ferry boat. Of course, I'd go swimming also off our farmland and off the boat.
Chemicals sprayed on croplands or forests or gardens lie long in soil, entering into living organisms, passing from one to another in a chain of poisoning and death. Or they pass mysteriously by underground streams until they emerge and through the alchemy of air and sunlight combine into new forms that kill vegetation, sicken cattle, and work unknown harm on those who drink from once pure wells. This pollution is for the most part irrecoverable. The chain of evil it initiates, not only in a world that must support life, but in living tissue, is for the most part irreversible.
After Kentucky, we went to the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, New York, one of the top cancer hospitals in the world. We were keen to see if they could offer any other treatments, and Nancy asked if pesticides could have been a potential cause. The doctors told us that there was mounting evidence that women of Nancy's age cohort, who grew up drinking groundwater from farm wells, were now presenting with high incidence of breast cancer.
What do you want me to take?
I want you to come up here and look at Brooklyn Bridge through these trees.
It was only in 2015 that an American scientific study showed that exposure to DDT in utero, infancy, and early childhood places women at significantly higher risk of being diagnosed with breast cancer by the age of 50. This proved Rachel Carson's assertions made 53 years previously. The International Agency for Research on Cancer estimated that in 2020, more than 10 million people died of cancer and that new cases increased to 19.3 million, breast cancer being by far the deadliest form of cancer for women. We returned to South Africa. The doctors at Sloan Kettering thought Nancy was doing remarkably well and felt they had nothing more to offer. Nancy immediately threw herself back into her work, and Carte Blanche was keen to do a follow-up program.
What did you see that convinced you that creative art therapy was necessary? I believe that the creative arts therapies can touch the human being in a way that talk can't always do it. And hopefully, potentially, the healing process can happen.
During the World Summit, Nancy organized a series of workshops at the Women's Jail on Constitution Hill in Johannesburg.
How are you feeling at the moment?
I'm tired. I'm tired, although the drumming, by doing the drumming myself, it re-energized me, which was good. And I feel so encouraged because remember, This is the best I've felt in 2 years. The last 2 years have been quite a lot of pain, a lot of chemotherapy. I still can't look at the needle. First take. Phew, I get every side effect you can get. Because I didn't drink tea or coffee. I had quite a pure system. I was very athletic. I did everything that they say, that should keep you healthy. So it seems that my body reacts to these quite heavy chemicals. There's a book by Bernie Siegel, who's an oncologist, Love, Medicine, and Miracles. I've had the love all along. I've had a lot of the medicine. And I feel in the last 2 months I've started to have the miracle. This new chemo drug called Xeloda has really turned things around for me. And it's given me less pain and a new energy. And it's risen my blood cancer levels that have just shocked us all. But ultimately, I think it's love.
We're not finished yet, guys. This is really painful.
This is killing her.
I think Nancy's a hero. I think the way she deals with it is quite phenomenal. She never, ever gives up. She keeps going all the time. I think to the point where she drives people, or me, desperate, because when you think she should be resting, she needs to be recovering, she needs to be strengthening her immune system, she's rushing around doing her work. And I think the work she's taken on is a remarkable achievement, even more so considering she's so compromised with her health and energy.
At his press conference on August 29, 1962, President Kennedy was asked,
"There appears to be growing concern among scientists as to the possibility of dangerous long-range side effects from the widespread use of DDT and other pesticides. Have you considered asking the Department of Agriculture or the Public Health Service to take a closer look at this?"
Yes, and I know that they already are. I think particularly, of course, since Ms. Carson's book, but they are examining the matter.
So great was the impact of Silent Spring that even the US government was forced to take heed. In 1972, DDT was banned in the United States. But despite it no longer being used as a pesticide in many countries, a plethora of other pesticides and herbicides replaced it and are thought to be having much the same effect as DDT.
Glyphosate was originally introduced
in 2018, courts in the US found Monsanto guilty for their use of the chlorinated hydrocarbon glyphosate used in Roundup. Hundreds of plaintiffs with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma filed class action lawsuits against Monsanto, who sold to Bayer for $63 billion in that same year. Multi-million-dollar settlements have been ordered by the courts to pay for compensation. Yet Bayer persists in its manufacture, denying glyphosate is a carcinogen.
For some chemicals, where small residues were permitted a few years ago, now with increasing knowledge, it has been necessary to reduce the tolerance to zero. Now, in my feeling, if that can be done for some, it can be done for all.
The central tenet of Rachel Carson is that when we poison the planet, we are poisoning ourselves. The terrible irony was that she herself was diagnosed with breast cancer when finishing Silent Spring. She wore a wig when testifying at the congressional hearings on pesticides, as well as for her CBS interview, so that no one would suspect she had cancer, and therefore could not dismiss her writings as an embittered, angry reaction. We only know how she suffered with her cancer from her letters to her friend and great love, Dorothy Freeman.
Darling Dorothy, well, as you know, I start treatment on Monday. The time this represents now, when it is all so precious, is of course horribly frustrating. But naturally, there is no choice. I'm trying to finish the chapter on herbicides over the weekend. I've got some wonderful material for it. The ecological folly is so apparent in this war on vegetation. Now, I must let sleep take over so I can get up fairly early and work, I hope. I wish you were here, dear one. All my love to you, Rachel.
Isn't that fabulous turn? Isn't it fabulous?
This is Sanga's fabric. With gold embroidery on it.
In addition to her trauma workshops, Nancy had been working on her new opera, Earth Diving, which was to open at the Spear Amphitheatre in the autumn.
Isn't it stunning? Yeah. It's absolutely stunning. Didn't they just come home or roost on that one?
Yeah, it's lovely. It's wonderful.
Lovely. Sweet.
I could go 18 hours a day, and I just went. I don't have that kind of energy now. I get home and I'm tired. By 9 o'clock, I'm finished.
Fudge is planning her attack of the ramp.
Yeah, have you seen the ramp? It's gonna look.
Is that a donkey ramp?
The vet's father-in-law made it for a present for Fudge. So she can climb onto the bed.
The chemo was taking its toll on Nancy, but she was unwavering in her determination to direct her opera. Pringle Bay was close to Spear Amphitheatre, and this allowed us to stay at the cottage while Nancy was rehearsing.
Where's the whole place?
I hope you're not going to use this as evidence in court against me.
Well, what do you intend doing? As long as you make it better, I won't use anything.
I will definitely do my best.
Okay.
Nancy's health was visibly deteriorating. She needed constant medical care to keep her strong enough for her rehearsals.
Okay, I need the chorus back on stage, please. Okay, one more time. Everybody ready?
By now it should be done.
And you need to do it with a little bit more violence, a little bit more pace. So let's just reorganize that.
This is fun. Ooh, power to the people.
Opera lovers in the Cape are flocking to see an unusual opera based on African themes, Earth Diving.
For director Nancy Diuguid, this opera is a personal journey. Nancy is terminally ill with cancer. She believes her illness has enriched the opera.
It's essentially about a community and a family who go through strife and difficulties and conflicts and find some sort of reconciliation towards the end. But it's also based on myth. The theme is change. The theme, unless we change what goes on within us, we will never be able to change what's going on without.
There we go. Oh, we'll start down there. See? Yeah. That's it, because we're going to have to bring probably the bottoms up a bit. Damn. Now I think this will be the last time I'll put this on.
show Nance.
My one regret was selling Nancy's wetsuit and scuba gear when it became obvious that she could no longer use them. I felt like I was betraying her hope. I was panicking about finances, particularly as her brother refused to release her money from Kentucky, and the medical expenses were mounting rapidly.
Yes, got everything. Like I said, I was becoming the master diver.
Des says he thinks he's might fit you.
Well, the crutch is too big for me. Yeah, I use Desi's.
Friends from London continued to visit to spend time with Nancy, unsure of whether they would have another opportunity.
Oh, sorry.
Darling Dorothy, yes, I do remember that you came to me a year ago this month, and that it was a precious and happy visit in spite of the undertones and the pretensions they might have been of what lay ahead. There's quite a story behind Silent Spring, isn't there? Such a catalogue of illnesses. I give you my thanks for these 10 years. Years that have enriched, yes, and even changed my life. Such years of joy and sorrow for us both. As we shared the joys, no less have we shared the sorrows. Sometimes I wonder how I could have endured the depths without your sustaining love. Without you in those shadowy days, I know life would not have been worth living.
I knew the hard conversation was necessary, but felt so unsure of how to approach it. I hoped that the presence of the camera would provide some form of safety for us both.
You ready, Schnooks? From your perspective now, what do you feel is meaningful about living?
Every moment. But what's really meaningful is our moments that we have together, or to look out and see a beautiful bird, or see another bird building its little nest, or a little pink flower that pops up, or our dick cups. Moments.
Okay. Yeah. Woo! 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 Oh, that's very good. Look, Ma, no hands. Very good, Des. Oh. Hey.
Have you cried and grieved as much as you've needed to?
Yes. I feel very free to do that. And I feel very free with you to do that. And I thank you for that. I mean that.
You say I must dance you to the end of time, but I'm not sure I know what to do.
I've said to you, and I'll say to you to the day I die, that you have been absolutely unfaultable. You have been absolutely as near perfection as anyone I could think of, in terms of the way that you've looked after me.
But I remember you
I
said,
say it all the time to you, this.
before Christmas, you said you wanted us to have some time together so that our relationship could reach another level.
Well, it is, right now, what we're doing.
Darling Dorothy, don't hesitate to speak what is in your heart. I know I've held back out of a desire to spare you, but really, is this for the best? We both know my time is limited. And why should we not face it together, freely and openly? I know you have dark thoughts and hard nights. How could it be otherwise? So why not share the thoughts? Some of them at least. I love you always, and in all ways.
I'd like to know that you and Desi were still good together, and that he looked after you well, and that you found contentment in whatever you do, and that you found a place where your heart could settle and be calm and harmonious. And if you meet someone else that you feel the love for them that you felt for me, well, maybe just a little bit. Just have to have a little special place.
How much?
That you were financially stable enough to be able to travel and do the things that you want to do, so we can see them together.
You know, Desi and I say we'll always take you with us.
No, just put the little tie on like you always do.
Yeah,
Fix
I do.
it. Yeah.
Nancy's bone pain was intensifying, and she needed to be on morphine constantly. We found a wonderful hospice sister who happened to live close by and who would come round regularly to help Nancy.
It started, actually, that's good.
Oh, it's back. Bye, Jenny. Thank you for being so good humoured. Bye, guys.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, let me see what happens when you just feel you get a hug, a free job.
How did the infrastructure work this weekend in Pringle Bay?
Very well. Jenny's just been an absolute sweetheart.
How do you get things like that organised? How do you do
Oh,
this?
it's just a lot, I think.
No.
But she lives there.
No, I know about that. Sweetheart, I've been working in this area for the last 4 years.
I know, you know.
We have no bloody infrastructure. Nowhere. This one comes, says as a sort of an aside, we must try and think of this as a possibility, and the next thing it's organised. I don't know how you do it. If I looked at how effectively you're breathing, you've come a hell of a long way from a week ago.
I think the one thing that's interesting is Nancy has one good day, and the next day she's out completely, and maybe then the second day. And then she has a good day, like today's a good day, but now she'll probably be wiped out tomorrow again. Is that kind of normal?
We must try and get it better.
Woke up feeling excellent today, which is why I thought let's come, because I might not wake up feeling excellent tomorrow. And I couldn't believe the energy I felt this morning. And I'm glad we came. It's a perfect day. We've seen the horses. I didn't think we'd see all 13. Did you? And they've already slipped away, some of them, to the other side. That's how I feel.
And what do you feel about Jenny saying they might take you off the morphine because you're doing so well?
I think that'd be great. Be very encouraging. Just see what they say and watch what happens.
But I mean, a week ago they thought you had very little time to live. You were so bad.
Darling, I've amused myself.
Oh, sweetie, I hope you have lots more lovely days like these.
So do I. I hope we do.
Dearest Dorothy, Dr. Kreil insists the bone metastases will yield to X-ray as readily as the lymph, and that this will be all right too. I guess it's just a matter of detecting them. The main thing I want to say, dear, is that we're not going to get bogged down in unhappiness about all of this. We're going to be happy and go on enjoying all the lovely things that give life meaning. Sunrise and sunset, moonlight on the bay, music and good books, the song of thrushes, the wild cries of geese passing over. So let's think and live happily, enjoying whatever time there is. All my dearest love, Rachel.
I think the key philosophy is to recognize the dark, hold the dark, contain the dark, embrace the dark, but sit in the light more.
And is that a difficult balance?
No, I think on the whole,
is it equivalent to?
It's been quite well. I think I've balanced that.
Is it a similar thing to the way we've had to deal with the fact that you're very ill but carry on living all the time?
Yes.
It's that sort of duality.
Absolutely. The hope and yet dealing with the reality. Hope, reality, hope, reality. What about you?
Me? I tend to do and keep busy and do whatever I can to help you, so I don't have to think.
I know. Want to stop for a little bit?
Hein, the oncologist, had said we needed to leave Pringle Bay immediately, as the black butterflies were out and that meant winter was approaching. Nancy's health was too compromised to survive the damp and the cold. I never told her, but I had already made plans to get her back to Johannesburg. We had spent the last 4 weeks of April listening to music, taking gentle strolls, eating delicious food, and avoiding the future. Back in Johannesburg, we tried to continue living as normally as possible.
How do you think Nance is looking?
Sexy.
Ah, sexy.
You're looking quite good, Nance.
Good.
All right, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye. We're off to school.
Bye.
I'll see you at 4 o'clock when I finish.
I'll see you at 1, maybe. 1:30, I don't know.
Nancy had begun to hand over the trauma workshops in order to conserve her energy.
So he knows that 4 is for below. Okay? And there's your... All right, does it go here?
No, it's 49.
I am so bad at math. Mel, I don't know who's going to do this math after this. I'm so bad at it. Good, darling. Mind you down. There's no 5 across. Okay, what'd you say it was? Okay.
35.
Yes, thank you.
When you think of the doctors, let alone your friends and colleagues who are all humbled, in awe and overwhelmed by your strength, determination and fortitude, and they express that all the time. And even Hein said when we went to visit him how he's never had a patient like you before. He can normally say what's going to happen, but with you, you defy the odds all the time.
Do you think you've always had this sort of stubborn streak?
Yes, and I think you think so too. I do. Oh, what? It's going up. Oh, I paid that. Okay, I think you paid this out of us.
3 weeks after returning to Johannesburg, Hein, the oncologist, phoned me. He was very shocked, upset and disappointed that Nancy's eyes were so yellow and said, "Shatsi, I hate to tell you this, but this is it. There is nothing more to do." I went back into the bedroom where Nancy was working with Wilma. Nancy said, "Was that Hein? What did he say?" I said, "Hein does not think Graham will give you chemo tomorrow." Nancy asked, "Does Hein have any other suggestions?" I said, "No, sweetie." Nancy had tears roll down her cheeks. I began to cry quietly. Then Nancy said, "Sorry, Wilma. Let's continue." And they went on with their meeting. After the news, Nancy deteriorated rapidly. It was as if the hope that chemo gave was keeping her alive. Friends came to be with us, which gave great comfort and support, but most of the time Nancy rested. Our friend Jackie brought a letter that Rachel Carson had written at the end of her life that she wanted to read to Nancy about the monarch butterflies.
Most of all, I shall remember the monarchs, that unhurried westward drift of one small winged form after another. For most, at least, this was the closing journey of their lives. But it occurred to me this afternoon, remembering that it had been a happy spectacle, that we had felt no sadness when we spoke of the fact that there would be no return. And rightly, for when any living thing has come to the end of its life cycle, we accept that end as natural. For the monarch, that cycle is measured in a known span of months. For ourselves, the measure is something else, the span of which we cannot know. But the thought is the same. When that intangible cycle has run its course, it is a natural and not unhappy thing that a life comes to an end. That is what those brightly fluttering bits of life taught me this morning. I found a deep happiness in it, and so I hope, may you.
One of the last times we spoke about death was when I asked Nancy what concerns she still had.
Thought that you'll be alone. And that worries me.
But in a way, that's my choice or my decisions or choices.
Well, sure, you chose to stay with me. You could have split, if that's what you mean.
No, I mean, if I'm alone on my own, when you're not here, that's my responsibility.
Yes, I appreciate that, but it still doesn't mean I don't feel about it. And that my head and my heart and my soul don't feel about it. Because they do.
So you want me to become a big social being?
No, I don't want you to become anything other than what you are, my darling. I just say that that's my biggest concern is your well-being. Let's put it that way, your well-being.
And for you, what are the biggest difficulties in...
I want to suffocate to death. And I don't want to be in hospital. I don't want to be surrounded by, how I said, with my Buddha and light and possibly music, or my Tibetan monk chanting away. And for us to be as clear in the process as we can be, sharp, alert, and clear.
And what happens if you were to be in terrible pain and you couldn't be that?
But they promised me that I don't have to suffocate.
No, I'm not exactly, but what I'm saying is I know you want to be present in the process of dying. What I'm saying is if you're in terrible pain and they have to give you things to numb that pain, then maybe you won't be in a position to be sharp and focused.
Then I need you to be saying things to me, my dear.
It felt like I was playing God, deciding what to do, when. Nancy was so unlike the Nancy I had known. I only wished I could do better with the process of knowing how to comfort and help ease her anguish.
This is where you are so vital in that transitional role. Looks right by you. Like Puck and Harry. Hermes, the messenger between the two, I think, at that point. It'd be quite beautiful.
I whispered in her ear. I spoke about having inspired so many people. I told her I loved her, that I could never love anyone like I'd loved her. I told her I would be okay, but that now she must let go, stop fighting. I think I said something about the light,